Hello, everybody. Hope everyone's all right. Thank you for the audio check. I'm soon to call you Rob, the audio check guy. There we go. Listening to Voice of America. 15580. 15580 coming in really well. On the Yesu. I've got WWV on the Texan. And I'm just about to turn on the AirSpy HF Plus for other signals. And here we go. I'll be tuning around 3 radios. And we'll announce it a little later. But if there's hams out there in the chat room that would like to try a contact live, we might try that a little later if you guys feel like it. I'll try to find a frequency and try to do a little something about that. Might be kind of cool to try, and I think that's going to be cool. So we'll see if anybody is up for the job, and if not, maybe I could try a few CQ on the bands and see if somebody answers. If you guys would like to see a ham radio station in action, we could try that. Something's interesting in my audio that I don't usually see. Huh. I guess it's still okay. Okay, here we go. Welcome, everybody. This is the Saturday live show. We are here on Saturday at 20 hours Universal Time talking about radio, and hopefully you will enjoy the show today. All kinds of radio. It's not just shortwave. It could be, long wave, medium wave. It could be VHF, UHF, anything goes, as long as it's radio. We tune signals, we chase pirates, and we look at what's happening all around. So hopefully you'll enjoy the show today. This show has been going on since about 2013, if I recall, so which means that this year would be about the 10th anniversary of my first live show, which was in the kitchen with the ICOM ICR 8500. And I know some of you go way back to that time when I was still struggling to start and do something with this channel. And now we are at 40,000 plus subscribers. Pretty cool. And it continues to climb. And of course, hopefully I have more and more time to create more content on the channel. I know that you guys love that. My name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And like I said, we're here every Saturday at 20 hours Universal Time. A long time I haven't had that question. People asking me this week, somebody asked me how long the show lasts. And, well, there's no real time limit, actually. It goes with the flow. It goes with, my feel. It goes with the interaction with the users. It often is roughly 3 hours, but don't count on the fact that it's always 3 hours. It could be 2 hours one day. It could be an hour and a half another. It could be 4 hours or 5 hours another. I don't remember. I think the record we have is what? 4 hours and 30 minutes, something like that, or a little more. Trying to remember what's the record. And that happened a couple of years ago. But we try to, do go as long as we can with the content we have and have a lot of fun with all the viewers and the people, the interaction. There's a beautiful chat room, and the reason it's beautiful is because all the people in it are beautiful, fantastic, great, and just here to and have fun with us, and just continue helping out newbies, answering questions. Maybe they have questions. Maybe you're a newbie and you have questions. Well, this is the place to ask. Honestly, everybody's really cool here, really fun, and you'll have an answer. You'll have people. Here is the most helpful and most respectful gang that you can have, and which is what I want on this channel and on the Facebook group. And of course, so cheers, everybody. Once again, no alcohol. This is day 28 without alcohol. So this is just cranberry juice and sparkling water. Cheers. We have, of course, a Facebook group. When all of this is over, of course, the chat room dies out, but you can go to the Facebook group and continue the discussion, continue having fun. Quite a lot of activity on the group, and more than 3,000 members. Really, definitely a lot of people, a lot of fun to see everybody interact and ask questions, and it's just a lot of fun. And of course, I answer questions sometimes, or I answer comments, or try to answer questions of people wondering what this or that signal is, and so on. And so, as time permits, of course, I sometimes, but I often go through and see the posts of everybody and just check out what's happening. So, welcome aboard, everyone, and hope that you have a great day today. We are, of course, we had, so last week we had a foot of snow when we did the live show. And add to that we had a foot of snow on Thursday and Thursday to Friday. And even though no big storms are ahead, there's like 3 or 4 days of snow ahead that will probably give us an equivalent of about a foot of snow again. So we're having a lot of snow, and that's the way it is here. It's supposed to be much colder. We had the warmest January on record here in Montreal, actually. So this is crazy. So I think 5 or 6 degrees above normal. But we're about to get real cold, apparently, in the next week or two. So this is going to be winter. He is finally joining us, but it is with snow, anyways. So nice to have everybody here, and cool to have all of you on board. Matt, MDK2, nice to have you on board. The guy that I made a FT8 contact with a little earlier today on 10 meters. Nice to have you on board, MDK2. Denver, Colorado. Laura Robertson from Germany. Nice to have you here. DL/KO4DFJ. Nice to have you here, Laura. Rob from Phoenix, Arizona. Our audio check guy. Richard Wagner. Nice to have you here from cold and snowy Northeast Illinois. Internet friend. Nice to have you on board. Like I was saying, welcome aboard. And like I was saying, I believe by the end of the year, it's going to be like 10 years old. Kevin, nice to have you on board. Sunny and cold in New Jersey. Finished tax return and getting the refund. Do you do taxes in Canada? Yes, we do. We have some. I'm still waiting for some papers and stuff. Usually, I do it by end of February, early March. As soon as I get all the paper, I usually do it. And so, yes, we do have income tax. So the date limit, I think, is April 30th to submit your tax return. And so that's in my cases, it's not super complex, but it is a little complex. There's a lot of little things in here to play with and all of that. So it's kind of a, but it's, I do it with an online service, which mm, really helps in making it easier. And of course, filing online is great. No more papers, no more paperwork, and you just have to keep your papers handy. If they ever come back and want to see some papers, you have to have them in, somewhere so that you can send them in if they need the papers. But for the most part, they don't need any papers. They pretty much have everything from all the different services. What else do we have? James Farley, nice to have you here. KD2GUZ, nice to have you here from Old Bridge, New Jersey. And it's got a 10-meter beacon from Mexico on 28276. Nice to have you here. Let's check it out. There's a lot of beacons on 10 meters, which is a lot of fun to tune around. I should make a video more about it. 28276. Do I hear anything here on the Air Spy? I have no sound. And that's because the volume is muted. Here we go. Nothing there, but I do have one here. There's something on 28298.5 upper sideband. Let's say 28299.8. Trying to figure out the Morse. It starts with a C. No, it's a K. K6. K6 something. 28299. I'm trying to brush up on my Morse code here. But there I see down the waterfall that there are quite a few of them scattered all across the 10-meter band if you want to try them. And you can go online. There are a few lists online available of the different beacons. Dwayne, nice to have you here from Tennessee. We have Mr. Phillip. Nice to have you on board, Mr. Phillips 369. We have Cliff Morris. Nice to have you here from Arizona. Had a power outage in the area last night, and it was the best shortwave session ever. I bet. Matt, with a weather update, mostly cloudy and some snow flurries falling. And it's cooled down. David's Radio Room. Nice to have you here from Central Georgia. TVDX, sir, bonjour. Ça va bien. J'espère que tu vas bien toi aussi. We have Nick Sharp that wants to talk about 5850 kilohertz to North America, Saturday to 0203 UTC radio, but not as we know it. Dave Mason, Sunday, 02 to 03 UTC, the giant jukebox, the mighty KBC. So pretty cool. What do we have? K Dong, nice to have you here. Good morning. We have Chuck, nice to have you on board, and 5 KVO from South Texas. Richard Califano, nice to have you on board. And says something bright in the sky today. You can't look at it, but it sure is nice. The Shelly Sykes, nice to have you here. Shelly from South Central Pennsylvania. I know when the sun hasn't been out for a while because my outdoor security cameras are solar. So they each have a solar panel. And when it's cloudy for several days in a row, they typically you lose a little bit of charge. Not a lot, but they just a cloudy day is not enough to recharge them most of the time. So I'll see the battery go down from like 95, 90, 85%. But we had a little bit of sun. Doesn't take a lot of it. A few hours of sun, and man, they're back up. I was looking at the camera today, and the camera's back up to 98%. And we didn't have really that much sun, so really, really efficient charging. Keegan DXer, nice to have you here from Northwest Arkansas. We have Robert Cross. We have DJW883. Nice to have you here from Southeast Pennsylvania. Tom A. Nice to have you here from Somerset, UK. Mike Water. Nice to have you here. If I can just find where I was. Mike Water, 1958. Good afternoon. Just had a hip replacement last week. Great time to sit and listen. So take it easy, my friend. And nice to have you here from Connecticut. We have Christian Marcoux. J'espère que tu vas bien. Nice to have you here from North Bay, Ontario. All right, JDA Dakota. Nice to have you here. Really nice to have you on board. WA0113SWL. We have Matt that's been able to copy RWM 9996 and sometimes 14996 the past week. Something that usually doesn't happen until March for me. Those sunspots are doing their job nicely. Definitely. There was one night this week that was simply amazing. I put the Yaesu on 30 meters FT8, and it was about 1 in the morning here, which is 6 hours UTC. The amount of stations from Asiatic Russia, from Japan, Taiwan, and a lot of northern, Nordic countries, Sweden, Norway, Iceland, and a lot of Europeans also. It was like one after the other. It was a crazy night. I started making contacts, and there's so many coming back at me if I called CQDX that it took a lot of time to just go and reply to everybody. And it's like at some point I just had to okay, I got to go to bed now, because if I send out another CQ, I'm going to have another 10 stations come back to me. It was really crazy. Njor Hader, nice to have you here from Germany. Neil, nice to have you here from the UK, M0CJM. We have Bob Raymond, nice to have you here. Lex, 2006 from Alberta. We have Zenfaros back after a pause, following along with the FRG7, Drake R8, and if I get it working, the R888 MK2 SDR. Cool. Got a bunch of new tech to more or less same as you did last year. Cool. Robert Cross, Joe, remember I telling you about switching off 2 radio stations on AM last week? And a person might find for switching off Absolute Radio on AM, switch unlicensed radio station too soon. And I've read that apparently they had kind of an obligation to continue broadcasting until the end of the license, and that they might have actually switched it off too soon. It'd be kind of funny that they would tell them, you got to switch it back on now. Bob Raymond is in New Hampshire. MDK2 says, Matt says I went 4 hours and 41 minutes last August. So that's a pretty good one. But I had a longer one than that. I think it's 5 hours and 30 minutes. But that one was like a couple of years ago. before I think it's before the pandemic. Laura Robertson from Germany, nice to have you here. Keegan DXer has Texas Tea brand. Fredericksburg Peach Tea. Cool. Texas Prison Stories. Nice to have you here. Frank Tillman. Nice to have you here. Jay Watterson 69. Nice to have you on board. Marvin Mutz. Nice to have you here from the Japan Islands. Good morning. We have Jeff King from Jacksonville, Florida. Nice to have you on board. Matt says we've been having a nice old-fashioned cold winter here in Denver. I'm not a big fan of cold weather, but to be honest, it's nice to have normal weather. Should help kill the invasive Japanese beetles. Yeah, they're here too. They are quite a problem here too, Matt. And here it's much colder at times, and although and Denver must get pretty cold too. So anyways, here we're having a snowy winter. We have more snow than usual, but the funny thing is we've been always on the edge of the 0 degrees Celsius. So we're always on the edge of either it's mixed with rain at times and so on, except this last storm, which was a real storm where it's cold and stormy. Lex ordered the ham study guide last week. Cool. And hope that you get that license. Not that difficult. Just, hang in there. Look at the study guide. Go online. The best thing, and I think it's really, really important. Go online and do the 100 questions test every single day. Because anyways, all of the questions come out of that question bank. So if you study and you do the test every day, you're gonna pass without any problems. I passed the test. I probably passed the 100 question test 40 or 50 times before I actually passed the real test. Jasmine, nice to have you here from Seattle. And I have relocated to a condo. Sad that I can't put an antenna outside, but MLA30 still performs well hung in a window. And I'm on a very high floor. Well, that's the problem living in condos or even some apartments. I'm very lucky here because, it could I could do what I want, but some people can't. Jasmine says noise level is higher, but MLA30 copes well. Yeah. What else do we have? Keegan DXer snowed here in Northwest Arkansas on Tuesday evening. Melted sometimes on Wednesday. Paul, nice to have you here from Southwest Michigan. We have there's a 442 show from January 2020. Slightly longer at 442.53. So that's the leader at the moment. Aha. So that's the leader. So that was before the pandemic, just before the pandemic, a couple of months before all hell broke loose. PB Wizard. I look on the challenge to go a year without alcohol. I'm now at my 6th alcohol-free year. You will feel great, and you will save a lot of money. That's extra money you can use for new radios. Yeah, that is definitely something I was thinking of. I can tell you that. Okay, I think that's the record. Matt says 5 hours, 17 minutes, December 19th, right at the peak of solar minimum. Okay. Yeah, that I think might be the winner. That might be the winner. Neil Rigby, nice to have you here from the UK. And we have King of the Extra says my local FM stations on 89.3, 91.1, 94.9 were knocked off the air Tuesday night. Heard Kansas City, Dallas. Yeah, it's time to DX. It's time to, when those stations go off, it's really time to turn on the radio. Definitely. Francis Moore, nice to have you here from the UK. Nick Amendot from Romania. Kate Johati, nice to have you here. My glasses, these glasses have been the same for a while now. Maybe it's, I don't know how long exactly, but those have been for more than well, at least I'd say a year, roughly, even a little more. So, but I haven't seen you in a long time. I don't know how long you've been here last time. Nice to have you on board. RTTY Dakota receiving a Renew New Zealand Pacific, and it's unusually clear, almost like local FM. Tim in Texas, nice to have you here. K5TJS. Jasmine says Airspy HF plus Discovery plus a well-positioned MLA30 really is a nice urban HF combination. Definitely. Matt says 5 hours 17, December 2016, just a few seconds shorter than the other 5 hours show. So yeah, they're probably the record holders. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure. Hello, my friend from I don't know where with that I don't know what Russian language or something. Nice to have you here. WF Jason 59. Nice to have you here from Michigan. André Charbonnier. Bonjour. Nice to have you here. Bienvenue VA2 NOV. C'est un plaisir, André. Nice to have you on board. Regarding invasive insects, the cold needs to be consistent for a long time. Eggs can survive short periods of freezing temps, but not long ones. Yeah, we have a couple of these invasive species here that can't really cope with really cold weather. So you're hoping for a really cold winter for a while to make sure that there's a minimum amount of them when spring and summer comes. But we have the beetles, the invasive Japanese beetles. We have the same problem here. And they have been telling everybody not to squash them because they apparently emit a very foul odor. So, but I've seen quite a lot of them, and usually because I keep my back door often open, slightly open in the summer because of Paul the cat, and the cats go out and in as much as they want. And by August, September, that's where you see them come in because it's getting a little colder. They're searching for a place to hide for the winter. Michael McShawn, nice to have you on board. W5RST, Central Oklahoma. Nice to have you on board. What else do we have? We need to have English to know what you're saying, my friend. Mika Dalmage, nice to have you on board after Thursday night. Rain, winter has returned to Sherwood Park, minus 18 Celsius. That's 0 Fahrenheit. You know, my mom, of course, came from the old school because I grew up in the mixed bag of the metric system and the imperial system. So, I do go out and I'm actually using more metric today, but, I still go out and ask for, half a pound of ham or stuff like that. My temperatures were mostly in Celsius most of the time, though, but my mom was in Fahrenheit, and my mom always had a saying in Montreal, and the saying was in the winter when it's -0, she means 0 Fahrenheit. Now it's cold. And it's like, yeah, okay. Art Dodd, nice to have you here. K2ADC from New Jersey. Hello, my friend from St. Petersburg. Nice to have you on board. Nice to have you on board from St. Petersburg. What else do we have? Jasmine, lots of nations from Japan coming in on the upper HF ham bands during the day this week. Oh, yeah, the stations, yes. I've had a lot of Japanese contacts on the ham radio. 10 meters, there's a progression. You see that late afternoon, 10 meters, then it goes to 12, 15, 20 meters. But it's really, really nice. The two countries that I've had this week that I'm proud of, I got Delta 2 Uniform Yankee from Angola, and I got Victor Papa 8 something, I don't remember the call, from Falkland Islands. It was really cool. So there was one from Malawi this afternoon, but I couldn't contact it. Keegan DXer has had his current glasses since December 2017. Nearsighted. What else do we have? Let me just try to catch. Where was I? Timothy Gunter, nice to have you here. I'm trying to get back where we were. James Farley, try 28275 upper sideband. XE1 JL still coming in. 275. I got one on 280. I see it here. 275. I don't see anything on a waterfall in 275. Maybe something very weak. I see one clearly on 270, on 280. It's 28 280 CW. There's one, so 28 279 upper sideband, I guess. What else do we have? Derek, nice to have you here from Cairo, Egypt. What else do we have? Richard Wagner, speaking of eggs, maybe if I give up booze and eggs, I can save up for shortwave stuff. Yeah, who knows? Mickey Delmage, after the show, watch this interview with Dan Robinson and his huge receiver collection. Cool. You guys, last week, I don't know, some of you might have heard it. I got part of, there's that pirate station. There's that pirate station that was interviewing Chris Smolinski of the HF Underground. It was very interesting. I posted part of the interview on my channel as I was listening to it, but it was really, really nice to have a pirate interview the owner of the biggest pirate radio related website, basically. It was really nice. LH, nice to have you on board. Says, I remember the Wednesday night programs too. They were a nice break in the middle of the week. Yeah, Tarek, the BBC dropped transmitting Arabic after 85 years, which is, in my opinion, a incredible lack of vision. With the diversity of everything happening in the Arab world and the need for some to have outside news from their own country, it is really sad. And it's clearly the BBC's cuts in the next few years are clearly just because they don't have the money to continue. All right, Jay Dakota, need to install a pet door for your cat. Yeah, well, we'll keep it like that. It's okay with the door open. The first year, and that's the funny part, the first year I kept the door open, my biggest worry was that there would be tons of bugs and insects that would actually come in the house. To my big amazement, not really that much. It's, I guess there's something that they're not attracted to. They just don't wanna. Because I rarely get really, I might get a spider here or there, things like that. But in general, it's, maybe a wasp from time to time, but they don't seem that interested in getting inside. Of course, flies are the worst. They are the ones that want to go inside. Dave, nice to have you here from the Bronx. Does an indoor loop antenna require much assembly? I'm not sure if I could manage it as a totally blind person. It's not that complicated, honestly. Maybe just get the help of someone, but they are rather simple to set up. I wouldn't hesitate to get one and get a friend of yours to help you out or a family member. They're not that difficult. What else do we have? Shortwave archive. We have in the mountains of Colorado the mountain pine beetle. MDK2 pet doors are a good way to let all the neighborhood cats, and occasionally other animals in. There's a trade off. Yeah, well, I leave the door open, so same thing happens. In my case, it's really only the neighborhood cats that come over. It's kind of funny because I leave the door open, so now it's like a buffet for them. And what is that I go out sometimes in the summer, and as the summer progresses, I see that there's more and more cats around in the different yards, and that look up here, and I'm like, yeah, okay, you guys are stealing you're the guys are stealing. Antal, nice to have you here from Hungary. Nice to have you on board. I do miss Radio Budapest. Matt says Japan is my second or third most contacted country behind USA. Canada is the other second or third DXCC. You know what? I was looking at my alphabetical list of countries. In the top countries that I've contacted, Japan is up there. But Brazil, of course, the US, Canada, Brazil are amazing. Actually, the number of contacts from Brazil is amazing me. I never thought there were so many hams in Brazil. Rob, a cat door only for Mr. Paul and his friends. I saw these fancy electronic cat doors. You put the little collar to your cat, and the door only opens when it's your door. Francis Moore, Jill, thinking of getting one of the Wellbrook flexible active loops. You have to buy your own coax for the loop. Would go for LM400 or RG58C coax. Honestly, look, if you buy a Wellbrook, you're spending a lot of money, so might as well spend a lot of money on the coax, but for a good one. But honestly, on the HF, when it's just for shortwave, long wave, and medium wave, the loss of RG58 is so low that there's not that much of a difference that you can see. I would probably say make sure that the quality of the coax resides more in the shielding being good and the coax being a good quality more than either one or the other. But of course, LM400, LMR, probably what you mean, 400. That is good if you go to high frequencies. Somebody that goes in the UHF range, now that's the loss is a lot less. But honestly, I look at the specs I've got here. RG8X that I've used for the 80 feet was a nice price and pretty good coax, low loss at the HF frequencies. up to 6 meters. The differences at those frequencies for a lot of these cables are so minimal that it doesn't matter that much, especially for receive. What else do we have? Slide rules. Oh man, I haven't used a slide. I don't remember. I don't even know if I'd remember how to use one. I haven't used a slide rule in since, man, I was young when somebody showed me how to use that. Oh, raccoons are crazy, amazing. Raccoons are intelligent and they are very agile. They're capable of opening jars, and it's like they're little. They have little hands basically. It's crazy. Here we have raccoons that came. I put the outside cameras first of all just to see what was the beast that was actually going through my garbage and actually having all the garbage scattered across the balcony. And it was raccoons. I wondered if there were cats, but because of the cats being well fed here, I was taught because of the cats being well fed here, I thought, no, I don't think it's cats. So I did see that it was raccoons, and the funniest part is that the raccoons and the cats, they kind of coexist here without any. I saw Mignon one night. Mignon was on the balcony. Raccoon just moved up. They were next to each other. Like, who cares? Raccoon looked at the balcony, what was there, looked at the barbecue, then came back down. Like, they didn't even do anything with each other. It was like they're used to being together, I guess. So they didn't care about the cat. The cat didn't care about the raccoon. And this it's the same with the we have skunks, and it's the same with the skunks. One day I look at Paul the cat. The skunk and Paul are like next to each other. Like, oh well. And I'm like, okay, Paul, come over here. I don't want you to get sprayed. But at the same time, you look at him and it's like, yeah, Paul made a skunk friend. They're friends. It's like, it was just funny. Jasmine says, heard part of the interview. Thanks for posting it. Yeah, it was really interesting. Yes, when I don't often post, but sometimes I'll post on the HF Underground the for the pirates. King and DXer post my FMDX logs on Facebook groups and DXing groups on Discord that he's in. Greg, nice to have you here from Southern Illinois. Richard Wagner, I believe England and France have large Muslim populations. They do. They do indeed. What else do we have? Jasmine says bugs don't like Paul the cat. Well, especially flies, because Paul the cat will start running and eating. He eats them all. It's always a little disgusting hearing Paul chew on a fly and you hear the little crunching. It's like, okay, that's not fun. Guitar Man, nice to have you here. Where did you get your map on your wall behind you? I bought it on Amazon. I bought it on Amazon. I liked the look, kind of an old style look with all the colors for the countries. I really liked it like that. It was kind of nice. It wasn't very expensive. I was looking at maps and I was wondering because I have another map here which is much bigger, but it's behind the shelf, and it's the map that I purchased when I moved here, and my radio stuff was on that wall. Actually, that was where all the stuff was. I'd have my radios were there until I started moving things around. Wow. Keegan says, "Dad, one of my dad's cats in the 70s would catch a wasp in her mouth and shoot him. Youch. Better chew before it gets stung. I can tell you that." Jada Dakota, some cats, yeah. The ones that for the wasp, the ones that amaze me is those birds. They catch the wasp, throw it in the air, catch it again until it loses its stinger, and then it swallows it. David White, are there Ukrainian or Russian military frequencies we can hear in the Americas? I haven't had a lot of people log Russian or Ukrainian frequencies and military frequencies in the Americas. I've seen a lot of posts, but most of the posts that I've seen are all from European listeners, which are much closer to the action. If you go to HF Underground, I believe they have a section on that about Russian and Ukrainian frequencies. What else do we have? Let's go down here. VA3 JPX. Salut. Nice to have you here, my friend. Kevin, did you get a nice map with your Yesu? I think my HT had a big Yesu map. Yes, I did. It's I think it's still in the box. But I did get a Yesu map with the radio. Yes, it was in the box, definitely. I might put it up at some point. It's like, do science. It's doing advertising. It's like the Texan. When you buy a Texan H501 or a 990, I believe both, but at least a H501, you get a Texan world map with different. It's an amateur radio map actually, with all the call letters of the different countries. Hook 911. Nice to have you here. What else do we have? Shortwave Archives as China Radio International 9720. Rich, nice to have you here. No, I don't play with wasps. Your shortwave, your SWR will go off the charts. David White, nice to have you here. Guess I could find a web SDR remote and try. Yeah, using web SDRs is the best thing. So hey, it doesn't happen often. We're down the list. Any hams out there would like to try a contact out of curiosity? Francis Moore, thank you, Joel. LMR 400 is made by Times USA and it is the best, I think. Following your reply, I will go for RG58C as it says you say good quality for shortwave and a bit more flexible from what I gather. Yeah, go for what's decently priced and that would be okay. So VA3 JPX is actually saying 28,700 upper sideband. So Matt, can you go there? 28,700 upper sideband. You have no restrictions. Can we? You guys want to try that? VA3, you're a little close for 28.7 though, maybe. So let's upper sideband. It's 28.7. And microphone is here. I will just go a little off here where there's no one. Doesn't seem to be anyone. So I'm just going to tune. Okay. The only thing I'm afraid of, and I hope it doesn't happen, is that we won't get into the console. So let's hope that that is not. So you just heard, I heard nothing. I'm just going to stop here for a second. CQ, 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 calling CQ 10 meters. This is Victor Echo 2, Zulu, India. Check if everything's all right. My power level. Everything looks nice here. Calling CQ, CQ 10 meters. This is Victor Echo 2, Zulu, India. Anybody hearing anything? I'll call again. I don't know if anybody else is calling. I'm not hearing anyone. Calling CQ on 10 meters. Calling CQ, CQ, CQ 10 meters. This is Victor Echo 2, Zulu, India. I'm hearing a station, but it's really, really weak in the noise here. My noise floor is pretty high, even on 10. So can you come back, please? I'm unable. I hear the station, but I can't. It's too much in the noise. Oh man, that is my biggest problem, anyways, is the noise. So let me just go to the chat a little more, and we're gonna try maybe try a different band that we could do. Maybe try 12. Let's just go down for a second. Edward, nice to have you here from Ireland. Do you think the color display Ethon Executive HD will get released this year? I want to get a Texan PL368, but may wait for the Ethon. Look, we don't really have much. It says, I believe it said like June or something, but we don't have much news. So we're not sure. We're not even sure. And I hear conflicting reports of some saying it's going to be there, some saying it's not going to be there. One thing for sure is after the fiasco of the new satellite HD, I would guess that that could be tough to if they do, maybe they're going to back off or something. Robert Cross. Starting to make YouTube videos, Joe. I made a channel to make videos. I must subscribe to you next week. Cool. And have fun making videos. Have fun creating and creating content. Matt heard the V3 call in 28.7. And MDK2 says 28.7 is occupied. Huh. So you heard VA3 answering me, and I don't hear him. Let's so VA3 hears me faint, and I don't hear you. Not because you're not making it, probably because I have too much noise. So let's you guys want to try a 20-meter frequency? Find a empty 20-meter frequency and post it in the chat. And let me know when you guys are set up on that 20 meters. That's a clean, empty frequency. And let's try there. Andy Hunter, nice to have you here. Yeah, we're going to try, I think let's try 20 meters. If you guys can find a frequency on 20. King and DXer, French from the CHU, learned from Joe, and some Canadian FM stations you heard. King and DXer says most of the Mexican radio stations I heard on FM. Steve, is there an advantage to mounting a loop antenna like the MLA30 as high as possible? I frequently see videos where these are relatively low to the ground compared to other types of antennas. In a not so noisy environment, honestly, a loop, magnetic loop like the MLA30 doesn't need to be very high. It doesn't change anything. Usually if they get higher or more distance from the house or the radio, it's going to be simply to avoid more noise. So if, like, putting it higher means it's also going to be in a less noisy environment, that is an advantage. But as a receive antenna, the MLA30, even if it's in an environment where it doesn't really change, being 5 foot from the ground or being 20 feet up will not change anything. Yeah, my noise floor is high here because if I'm not using the amp, and I have to put, if I look at the level of where I have to put the waterfall, it just tells me that my noise is very high because it shows S2, S3 on the meter, but my amplifiers, the two amplifiers of the Yaesu are off. I'm just running off the standard amplification from the radio itself. Oh, 24948. Okay. Let's just go down. René Charbonnier, nice to have you on board. Michael West, yes, more than a year ago. Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India here. Alexander Biz, nice to have you on board. The Sunset Sunrise app in the background. Where do I download it? Go to so this is in Windows. Here. It's a very complete, very good app. It's Simon's World Map. Search for Simon's World Map and install that on your Windows PC. Brad in Amarillo, nice to have you here. What else do we have? Let's go here. Brad tried VA3 JPJ, tried to run me off. Radio Waves, nice to have you here. Anyone tried to monitor 7055 lower sideband? Not today's winter field. Oh, today's winter field day. 20 is crowded. Okay, fine. Let's find something free somewhere. The only band that I would not recommend is 15, as 15 meters seems to get into my console. So I'm going to distort the audio of the console. So try to find something that is, we could try 12 if you guys want to try it. So back to 24948, still clear. Okay, let's try that. 24948. need to check something with. Calling CQ, CQ, CQ. I'm not putting out power here for some reason. Whiskey Zero, Mike Delta Kilo, Victor Echo 2, Zulu Zulu India. You are about a 5 and 6 into Montreal, Matt. Back to you.
Roger, you are fairly audible for me, maybe I don't know, 2 forward. I can hear you, but you're just barely coming in for me. Over.
Yeah, for some reason, I'm looking at my power output levels. I'm not putting up the power output that I should. So I'm wondering if there's a setting I need to look at. But you're a 5 and 5, 5 and 6. You're good enough for a conversation. Nice to have this voice contact, Matt. It's pretty cool, and it's kind of cool. But you know, I've got to play more with the settings. I've played with them. And I've been doing a lot more FT8 than anything else. So I guess I'll have to go back into those settings here. So back to you.
Try compression if you've got that. That's the one thing I find that if I forget to put that on, nobody hears me. So if you've got compression setting, maybe try that over.
Okay, back. Oh, yeah, this is definitely better. Just turned on the processor of the transceiver. So I seem to put up more power here. So is this better, my friend?
Slightly. It's still pretty faint for me. Over.
Okay, you came in just better here. You came in almost 5.8 now. So yeah, okay. I'll play around with that, but I am putting up more power though. I do see that the power output is much better. Any other stations here? This is Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. So nobody else heard. So thanks for the contact. Our first single sideband voice contact on 12 meters, Matt. And thank you so much. I'll get back to the live show. And maybe we could try a little something a little later if we can find another spot and another frequency. But we'll continue the show here. So thanks so much for the contact. W0MDK. This is Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. Well, it just dropped off here. I can barely hear. It was real strong before, but now it's like really, really weak. Some changing band conditions. So anyways, it's cool. We'll add that to the, I'm going to put that to in a note here so I can add you in the log for a voice. We were able to make a voice contact. And so at 2003. So yeah. I heard maybe another call, which was in very, very, very weak in the noise for me. So cool. Made it all the way to Colorado, 24948. That's not bad. What else? What else do we have? Paul, A1 SU, nice to have you here from Northern Vermont. Michael West, thank you so much. KD5DCJ, nice to have you here from Missouri. We have Anthony France, nice to have you here, no problem there. What else do we have? J Projects, nice to have you on board. RGA Dakota, receiving the conversation on 24948, very weak. Guitar Man can hear Matt, but very faint here in Southern Ontario. Can't hear Joe. Bruce, nice to have you here on 9BH. Heard Montreal faintly. And yeah, so Mickey tried. Edward, trying to hear you on Montreal Web is the RV2BWX, but nothing. Yeah, well, that's a little normal because on these frequencies we tend to there's skywave signals. So unless the station, the Kiwi SDR is real close, it you usually don't hear much. What else do we have? Nothing in Florida, says Anthony. What else do we have? Matt says so. Mickey might have tried. There's something for me. There was someone or like a little lower on frequency, like on 944. Michael, Michelle Colette, can't hear you, but could hear the other. Nice to have you here, VA2CO. I hear conversation going on weak in the background. Matt says, that was fun. Thanks for the contact. Yeah, thanks for the contact. We made it voice. We remember we wanted to do a voice one before. Well, now we've got our voice contact, SSB. So it's pretty cool. Sheldon Harvey, nice to have you on board from Greenfield Park, Quebec. Bonjour, hi, hola, and ni hao. Alan 16941 with frequency in 24948. VT Radio is calling CQ in 24948. Here's somebody. Yeah, absolutely. You know, it shows on the FT8 when we with the PSK reporter. But you know, I like voice is fun. I like voice because it's fun to talk to somebody. So there's some side to this that's kind of interesting. So Mickey V6 IDX 59. VT Radio is more 35. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. I just heard VE3JPX. Is that Mickey coming back to VE3JPX? Brett Wayne, KC2NXP, nice to have you here from Salamanca, New York. Yeah, I think that's Mickey I'm hearing that mentioned VA3 JPX. Oh, I'm hearing Mickey now. I'm hearing Mickey now. Get a piece of paper. Victor Echo 6 India Delta X-ray. This is Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. Good afternoon, Mickey. You're about a 4 and 5 here in Montreal at the moment. And it's nice to have a contact with you from all the way from Sherwood Park here. Back to you. Well, thank you for the contact. I will get back to my live show, and I'll put you in the log for sure, Mickey. Thank you so much. Victor Echo 2 India Delta X-ray from Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India 73. So there we go. Contact with Mickey all the way to Sherwood Park, Alberta, Canada. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. It's a little up and down at moments. You know, I would have given you a 5 at a peak. I would have given you more like a 5 and 6. It was really an up and down, but nice to talk to you and nice to do the contact on 12 meters. What else? So let's go here. Jim's Radio Check. Nice to have you here. RGA Dakota bought a small FM transmitter connects to my internet radio when I want to rebroadcast WRMI Legends in the house. Cool. Matt says hearing Gilles better this time. What else do we have? Jay Dakota can hear Gilles. So cool. Yeah, you're a little close for me. A little close for me, VT Radio. Would have to go down. Hook 911. You hear him south of Nashville, Tennessee. FT8 10, 80 to 10, and fed half wave 45 foot up. Cool. Jasmine, Gilles, you should mount your monitor higher on the other wall so we can see it. Yeah, well, what I want to do this week is to mount it here so that'll be easy to see. Because with this big chair, you guys see nothing right now. So by next week, it should be here in this space where I usually have the firewall, where it's going to be visible all the time. Yeah, definitely VA3 JPX. You're too close for those high frequencies. To get a contact, we'd have to go lower. Call Icon picked up V6IDX and New York Rochester Web SDR and Agildo. Yeah, that SDR is a little close for that. VT Radio going to try 12 meter FT8 while I'm there. Was on 10 meters FT8. The band was busy, but very few contacts for me. Mickey Dalmage, contact made, VE3JPX, AA1SU, and VE2ZZI. Congratulations, 3 nice contacts. Matt, by the way, if anyone is a fan of either Camper Van Beethoven or Cracker, the main guy from both bands, David Lowry, is a ham, and I worked him early on FT8. Oh, wow. KF4KRF. Huh. Okay. A lot more hams in the popular the show business of any kind than we actually know of. So cool. We had contacts. We can add those contacts to a QRZ logbook a little later. So that's nice to have add the contact with you guys, and it's pretty cool. I don't want to go do too much in different frequencies because I still need to kind of check out. I've been playing around with grounding everything as much as possible, making sure I have the least amount of RF that comes out of this room, to interfere with anything else in the room. For now, these frequencies, on the high frequencies, I got no problem, but it's kind of nice. I'm going to play a little more with the processor thing, because I've definitely noted that I've been able to boost my my power level much more with changing a few settings. So fast load, nice to have you here. Yeah. I did see you also on FT8 this morning. Had a few contacts. Had a few contacts on FT8 with I got Poland, I got Norway, I've got a few Europeans, a few US stations too. So anyway, so like I said, during the week I'll be actually setting up the monitor air, so it'll all be, even with the chair like this, it'll always be visible, so you guys could see the screen of the FTDX10, and if we do more contacts, do stuff, you guys will be able to see for sure. The Win 1960, nice to have you on board. Try building an ugly balun. For what reason? VT Radio, as soon as I went to 12 meters, I saw someone calling CQ Vermont. I answered, and he is in the log. He said that I was his last state needed. Oh, that's cool. Sheila, nice to have you here from Belleville, Ontario, Canada. Nice to have you on board. So that's cool. We've been able to do a little contact. Our first, with Matt, I did some FT8 a couple of times, but now that was our first official voice contact, which is cool. And I believe we made I made a contact with Mickey when we were the special event station, but never had a contact with our official call signs. So this is cool. Robert Cross bought an antenna tuner last week. Didn't get a chance to set it up. Check it out. Yeah, set it up. And it might help. It might help slightly. I mean, if you tune, of course, you're getting more of the of the signal if you're tuned precisely. Right now, the way I'm set up, oh yeah, okay, to the shack. Well, right now, what I have is a because I'm the Win 1960. The way it's set up right now is an end-fed V, and to a unbalanced and balanced balun, which is a 49-1. So this is the way it is. The RF isn't too bad. honestly. But it depends on the band. And the 15-meter band, for some reason, is the worst of all. The other bands seem to be reasonable. I've been checking out, and I've got a few. I've got a few very sensitive items here that, if there's any RF, they go berserk at any frequency. So they are kind of my RF monitoring in the room. Isn't too bad. Isn't too bad. But it's I still there still needs to there's some work to be done to lower as much as possible any RF coming back here in the shack. That's for sure. Michael, nice to have you here. Better late than ever. Yeah, of course, man. It's nice to have you on board. And Tuberk Tim, with a J-pole antennas, why does impedance increase the closer you get to the ends? That you'll have to ask more of an antenna expert than I do, honestly. There's definitely some difference for some reason, but you would have to ask somebody that is much more antenna literate. It's like my antenna, which is very experimental, honestly, but does a decent job. So hey, you guys saw my my operating skills. Robert Cross, I need to put earth ground outside. So what's the best way of earthing? It has to be real short, honestly. The if you ground anything, it has to be the grounding needs to be as short length as possible, because it quickly becomes anything else but a ground. So I don't know how far you are from where you could do this. If you're really close, if you're at ground level and you have quick access to the ground, you know. But here, it's everything's complicated here, because you've got the you got the fact that here all of the so all the pipes are plastic. It isn't anyways a good ground technically, but all the pipes are plastic if you use pipes for your grounding. And there's and I'm 3 floors up. Having access to a ground is kind of yeah, no gas lines, and you shouldn't technically ground it to any electrical outlet grounds either. That's not a good idea. So these are a lot of things, It's grounding is a fascinating subject. Anybody that starts to go in there, it's like you have a 1,000-page book just grounding. It's really, really and even antennas, it's the same like antennas. I mean, all the patterns and all the different things that happen depending on how it's set up, how it reacts. Sometimes what I say is it'd be fun to have something that shows us, the exact pattern, that we could look at the antenna through some screen or some device and see the pattern created around the antennas when you're actually it's just crazy. The what else do we have? Yeah, that probably could be a good book, the ARRL grounding and bonding, which probably covers this very, very well. Definitely. I haven't gone back to my ARRL book. There must be just a chapter on, because of the grounding and all this stuff and ideas. Here it's electrical heat, Win 1960. Yeah, counterpoise is simply making the antenna react correctly. You know, when you put in an antenna, you get a great example of counterpoise. Mobile antennas that have the magnet for their ground is actually that's a counterpoise. What happens is that you try to you try to you have that antenna, that vertical antenna, but to work properly, it needs to have the counterpoise. It needs to have a balance, and that balance it gets it from the metal top of the car or a metal. In my case, the VHF UHF antenna I have gets that balance, that counterpoise from the metal shed, and that balances the antenna correctly. So each antenna needs to have each antenna needs to have a uh, a counterpoise of some kind, and it depends on each antenna the way it's done. Each antenna properties have its own counterpoise way of doing things, like dipoles, with each leg having that purpose. And there's depends on the antennas. Each antenna has a different way of doing it. Okay. What else do we have? So any parts? Let's just check here if we have parts or anything. So that was kind of cool to do a couple of contacts on the HF bands, and we'll do more stuff. I'm Spacebar. Nice to have you here. We'll be setting up. Jasmine says wasn't expecting that explanation. Because there's a lot. It's complex. It's a complex world. Antennas, that's the part of the the antenna systems and the grounding and all of that. It's part of the knowledge, but it's part of the knowledge. I'm not that knowledgeable on that side of things. I'm knowledgeable on other places. Somebody's keying up on our frequency. We were on 12. Would you be okay if we created an after show talk on 28.7? Yeah, sure. Sure. Oh, yeah. Experimenting with antennas is definitely fun. If I had the possibilities here, I would have not just one, I'd have more. I found my switch. I got an antenna switch, which is capable of 3 antennas. And that switch is capable of transmission up to 1 kilowatt. So it's a heavy duty switch. So I'd have, if I have the possibility here, I'd have 3 different antennas for ham radio, and I'd just switch between the antennas depending on the bands and stuff. Man, it's imagine people that have land and that are able to do what they want. Man, there's so much fun and so many things that would be fun to do antenna wise. I just look at the Lamont, Alberta, Don Momin's place there with all the antennas and stuff is crazy. It's just crazy. Don't I 911 says don't buy the ARRL antenna book unless you want a degree in antennas. That is not an easy book to read or understand. Yeah, there are things that are more difficult than others that you need to have a much more take me by the hand type of approach. Robert Cross will be buying himself a loop antenna soon. Cool. That'll be nice. One of the things that I've been wanting to do with my antenna in the backyard is to maybe make the V a little larger, because right now it's maybe 30 degrees, I'd say. And I've had a few posts of people that are a little more knowledgeable tell me that, well, maybe you'd get a little better if they'd be a little more, apart from each other. They're a little close. So there's the interaction and so on. Richard Wagner, a lot of books on antennas and PDFs on the web. Oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff. There's actually a lot, a lot of information on the web without even buying any of those books. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of. I was looking at a video the other day about the the building a antenna specific for making contacts to um, making contacts to like the ham satellites, and the guy shows you step by step how to build the antenna yourself. And I was like, that could be a fun project. I would like to, as part of my ham, if I have to go to VHF, UHF, that'll be my fun, contacting ham satellites. And that I'd like to do something like that. I'm going to start by trying to contact the International Space Station repeater. Jasmine saw an old satellite base station for sale in desert, Southern California for $1 million. Yeah, $1 million. Start by having $1 million. Jim Gordon, unfortunately, do not have the space for decent indoor aerial, even in MLA30. Therefore, I try to take my radios for a walk or persevere with the radios telescopic and wire aerials. Yeah, that is the unfortunate thing when you're very, very limited. It's really sad because it makes the hobby kind of difficult to really process and play with. Brett Wayne, do not ground on second or third floor. Your ground will be part of the antenna. Will cause RF. Yeah, definitely. That's you can't. There's no grounding possible in at a third floor where everything is just Hook 911 contacted the International Space Station during the field day this year. Was pretty cool. That must be a lot of fun. I tried to contact it with my FT65 because I've even seen a few videos of people being able to contact the repeater of the International Space Station just using the Andy talkie, but I don't seem to make it up there yet. The signal from it is strong. The repeater's signal is amazingly strong in my FT65, but I'm unable to. I guess I need some directional antenna to really make the signal go up there to the repeater. So that would be my if I had a weekend project that I'd like to do, maybe for fun, is to have make myself some kind of directional antenna for the ISS. I'd like that. I'd have a lot of fun. Even if it's just you hold the talkie in the hand. I saw one guy do it. He's holding his HD in his hand, and he had the other antenna that he was just like pointing with his other hand towards where the International Space Station is, and he made contacts, and it was really working great. Maybe that's something I'd like to do. Jim Gordon, what do you think of slinky aerials? Yeah, a lot of people with the metal slinky. Don't try the plastic slinky. The metal slinky. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people have some success. I would guess it probably gets a lot of noise though from if indoors. I don't know how noisy it is, Jim, where you are. Kevin, 40 meters is banging now. WS2H. Wish I still had my station active. I would have tried to contact you, your QTH. Yeah, 40 meters. This time would have been a possibility up to Virginia, New Jersey, and even the Carolinas, possibly. Matt, the ISS is tricky. Tried a couple of times. Nobody seems to hear me. Yeah, same here. I need to have some better antenna probably. RJ Dakota, or has a homeowner's agreement that looks for such things, to go outside to the woods or have a small mini loop outside my shack. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of restrictions. Jim's radar check. Supposed to get a tenth of an inch ice tonight. Oh, should be okay. We have our regular ice storms here in Montreal, and no problem. It works fine. Mine is that it's, I think it's fourth winter outside, and we've had high storms, tons of snowstorms. We had minus 30 degrees Celsius regulars, and it's up and running for 4 years without any glitch. That thing just works. Edward, do you have any experience with the Bonito antennas? Curious if the Boni Whip or Mega Active are worth the price, 100, 200 euros. Yeah, I've seen some in action from videos. They seem to work, for sure. But remember that if inside where you are, if you're looking for an amplified antenna like that, if in where you are it's noisy, you'll be mostly amplifying the noise around you. It's like that. What's that? That mini whip that a lot of people, it's like the super expensive mini whip, which is actually what is used at the University of 20 SDR as an antenna, and works great there because it's a very quiet location. But once you have noise, it's crazy. Look, 911, we did if one of those Harrow Yagi antennas, and says, yep, make a small Yagi out of a tape measure. Yeah, I've seen a lot of quick ways to make them, and I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna have fun with that. Joe Michaels, why are more shortwave stations going off the air? Well, there's really not that much more stations right now going off the air, as we're pretty much stable. What we do have off the air is a BBC Arabic, mostly because of budget cuts. And the BBC shortwave service is probably in jeopardy for the next 5, 6, 7 years because the change in funding of the BBC World Service means they have no money. And when I heard the interview, when they interviewed the head of the BBC about it, and she said, for the survival of the BBC, got no choice to cut where the money, the spending is. And unfortunately, broadcasting on shortwave is expensive compared to streaming, and they think that streaming is going to be perfect and work well. But the problem is, like cutting the Arabic service. How many countries that speak Arabic that have troubles, that need to have an outside source of news and information? They're going to lose that because, stream all you want. These countries, either people don't have internet or can't afford internet, or if they have internet, they'll often have, a limit, a bandwidth cap, and often it will be blocked by the government, even if you have internet. So what you want to hear, like the BBC, is not going in. It's like listening to the BBC in China. It's blocked everywhere. So it's crazy. As for the others, if we talk about other stations that would shut down, it all comes down to the audience level. Is how many people are listening in. I got 40,000 subscribers here, so definitely there's some people interested in what is international broadcasting and shortwave radio. But when I listen to the mailbag shows, what comes out is that you hear the same names all the time every week. Kind of tells me there's not a lot of people writing in, How many people are actually listening? And if the stations don't get letters, don't get any feedback, why should they stay on the air? That's the thing. Hook 911, the guy that set it up had a tracking program that tracked all the satellites, displayed their transmit circle on a map when the transit. Yeah, I use the software I use for that is Arbitron. Arbitron is great, and you have the what's called the satellite's footprint, where you see in what zone the signal will be receivable. But I use Arbitron, which I really like for that. And it can control actually your transceiver or your receiver for the Doppler shift, because the satellites and the International Space Station move really quickly, and they have what is called Doppler shift. Their main frequency shifts, and you got to follow that when you listen and transmit. Vianney Arsenault, salut. Nice to have you on board. Glenn Zeckman, nice to have you here from Ohio. NDK2, an ice storm would probably kill us here. There's definitely not the kind of thing we get in Denver. Yeah, we usually get a small ice storm per winter. Usually February or March are the perfect times for that. We did have a little bit of ice in December, I believe, but we haven't had anything major this year. But as long as it doesn't look like what we had in 1998, which was really crazy. It's crazy. Yep, the PA0 RDT. Spacebar, Keegan DXer says, had an ice storm here in northwest Arkansas that knocked out power from January 27th to February 2nd, 2009. Listen to FM and shortwave on my Radio Shack DX402 on batteries. Yeah. Yeah, it is above a large metal roof at the U-20. Can you connect a loop antenna to an antenna tuner coupler? Things like magnetic loops and stuff like that will not be tunable because they work differently. It's not like a wire antenna or standard antenna. They don't work in the same way. So you won't tune a loop in general. You can tune a loop with, it depends on how it's made, basically. An amplified loop, forget it. You can tune a loop. Like if you look at what's the W1 something has a magnetic loop that has a little tuned circuit in it that you tune around for the shortwave. That will work. But an outside antenna tuner coupler will probably not work. It has to be built within the loop itself. King and DX, the freezer became the refrigerator while the porch served as a freezer. Guitar Man, anyone here ever tried to do long distance DXing on the CB channels? I always hear a guy named Mud Duck on the trucker channels from New Mexico here in Ontario. Yeah, often is the here the all the South, like Texas and so on, Alabama, all of these guys running like a kilowatt under power amplifiers and the CB bands. Jim Gordon, your sore throat needs scotch, whiskey, and green ginger wine. Well, I'm in a year without alcohol, so I'll have to find some other method. Is the BBC going to be still on the NPR radio? Jim's radio check. That is much more of an NPR question. Some NPR stations are not relaying it anymore. Keep in mind that the BBC feed on NPR is a paid feed. so that the public radio has to pay the BBC for that, to have that. So what happens is that some of the public radio stations in the US actually have already removed the BBC from their own schedule. It all depends on that public radio station that you listen to keep it up and have the money to keep it up. I actually have given a donation to the WVPS, to the Vermont Public Radio station here, which I hear on 107.9 and hear the HD feed on 107.9 and HD too, and which is the BBC 24 hours. And when I send a donation, and it was the first time actually I sent a donation. I sent a donation and I mentioned two things. I said, first of all, this is long overdue because I've been listening to the WVPS for such a long time and enjoy the programs. But also, I said, part of it is for you guys to keep up that BBC stream on HD2. So, and they do get a lot of donations from people from Montreal that like to listen to 107.9. Spacebar, not every developing country has the infrastructure to stream. It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. The problem is that, and the problem is trying to, the problem is to, to get the stuff there. And Shortwave is good at that. But trying to explain, like the BBC's budget, it comes from public funds. How do you explain to the public that we're broadcasting to other countries, So Matt says that Mighty KBC has a lot more times and frequencies on WRMI now. So if you were missing them, you have a lot of other opportunities now, including the old time Sundays 0 to 02 UTC on 9455. That is cool. So yeah, they can have the infrastructure, definitely, but the thing is, they if they don't have the content, because even if you have the content, think about say that everybody in such country has, or a big chunk of them have internet, but that country's government is a government that doesn't want you to know things about what's happening in reality. They'll cut everything external that talks about it, like China blocking BBC, or blocking Voice of America. You get the news that your own government's giving you, but you're not getting outside news. It's not showing up. And shortwave is a great way to do that. Even with the jamming, shortwave is still a good way to do that. Jamming is inefficient. Jamming will work one day, but might not work the next day because of shifting propagation. So you end up still listening to some of this stuff. Thank you, Vianney. Happy to be here. What else do we have? Hey, nice to have you on board, David in Barcelona. We could have tried to contact. You missed our single sideband contact that we did on 12 meters. Maybe you could have tried to join us and see if the signals come from Spain to North America. Nice to have you on board. Nice to have you on board, EA3IEK. Thank you, Vianney. It's a place for that. It's a place to have fun with radio. and to have fun, with everybody. And it's pretty cool. What digital mode is on 14108? Yeah, I'm not sure. I hear it from time to time. I know what you're talking about. I hear one regularly there, 14108. Around 105, 108, around those frequencies. I don't know what that is. I'm really not sure. Like I hear something on 103. Not sure what that is. Definitely a digital mode. Not sure what that is. There's a few of them that I have no idea. Francis Moore sent a letter to my local MP regarding BBC cutbacks, shortwave broadcast cutbacks. The trouble is, most people, even those with an interest in shortwave, don't bother. Yeah. We were able here to keep Radio Canada International on the air once with, there's really somebody strong near the frequency we were talking earlier. On 24946. And there's some guys upper also. Look at that. Somebody here.
They wanted me to come down, and I said, well, it gets better.
And look at that WWV. That here is WWV. Pretty strong. Let's put ourselves in AM. Look at that WWV. .25 megahertz. So that'll be great when the screen is here. It's going to be easier to manage. So like I was saying, we were able to save Radio Canada International here once with writing to our MPs. But, as time goes by, and let's face it, not a lot of people know anything about the fact that BBC transmit on shortwave to the world and so on. MDK2 says portable shortwave receivers can be super cheap if a strong transmission is hitting the target area. That's all that's necessary for a good copy. I don't know what cell phone infrastructure is like outside of major cities and the developing world. That's the other thing also. Most of these countries, if they do have cell phones, because I was looking at a documentary a few months ago that and they were in, I think they were in Senegal, and in the main city, I mean, everybody had a cell phone. It was like, I was like amazed. I was like, everybody has a phone. It's crazy. But in the main city, you get outside of it, and remember one thing: in a lot of those countries, the majority of the population lives outside of big centers. They live in rural areas where there's no cell coverage and there's pretty much no internet. And the only thing they have is a radio for what's happening. So we gotta be careful, because we can't apply. We live even here. Let's face it. Even here, look at the infrastructure in North America or in Europe. Now, I'll speak more North America because I know a lot more about what's happening here, and I can tell you, both in Canada and the U.S., there's a lot of crappy areas for even internet access. There are some places in Canada where you watching this is virtually impossible. And there's a lot of places in the US where the only thing they have is still dial-up, because it's just not reaching rural areas, or if it is, it's so crappy that it's, apart from a Google search, it's almost useless. And we're talking about countries that, have a lot of money here. Imagine countries that, like in, all the African countries are all, countries that just don't have all the luxury of the communications and the way that we do stuff, you know. Um, in the main cities, it works, but a lot of people outside of the main centers just they're cut off guard. And add to that, controlled radio, controlled internet. There needs to be outside voices, and shortwave is great for that. So, there's going to be, we're going to see as time goes by, but, like Rich says, magnetic loop is already a tuned circuit. So an outside, like I was saying, an outboard antenna tuner will not work with that. So if you guys want to check out the full schedule for the KBC, Matt has shared the website. RJ88 Dakota, BBC has been gone from our NPR radio outlet for quite a while already. Matt says they're still on our NPR affiliate in Denver. There's a fully independent public station in Boulder that I know carry them daily. Carl Icon has Radio Romania International. That probably is signing off right now, 9430. David Ostrowski, nice to have you here from Medicine Hat, Alberta. Jasmine, I've been to the remote areas of Thailand, Laos, and Malaysia. No one I came across had a shortwave radio, but everyone had a phone with data. So it's but still, even with that, Jasmine, okay, even if we would put that like that, a country that doesn't want you to know what's happening, that data is not coming in from where it should be coming in. You'll hear what they want you to hear, because once you're connected, the whole process of what you're listening to is controlled by the government. If your government is, in any way doesn't want you to know about what's happening in reality. So it doesn't matter if we talk about everybody has a phone. The real basic thing is, yeah, you might have a phone, but you're not going to have access to the news you need to have. Plus, any major country, any major event happening, an earthquake, a typhoon, whatever, that phone isn't working. It isn't working for days, weeks, maybe months. So we got to think about all of that, even if in some areas there would be a lot of coverage of the cell phone and everything, you know. Cool, Vianney. Spacebar. Well, you know better than me, than Jasmine. Ukraine needed shortwave during the conflict. Parts of Africa are dependent on shortwave. There are many who rely on shortwave and alternative news sources. This explains why the focus. Where are the shortwave broadcasters focusing everything? Well, they're focusing all of that in areas where it's needed. So Africa, and the Middle East, and Asia, and Southeast Asia. That's where the majority of broadcasts on shortwave go to. Why? Because they know that's where all of that is needed. So it also tells you that even though everybody has a phone, they probably have a radio, and a lot of them can't get on that phone what you get on the radio. So depending on the government that's in power. Matt says here in Skip Zone City, WWV 25 megahertz is copyable. Fair signal, not faint. Keegan, I hear WWV on 10 and 15. Keegan DXer is on Ethon Grundig Edition Field BT internal antenna. Guitar Man, can hear 25,000 very clear. Spacebar Wonder on 14108 is Contestia or RTTY. It is not RTTY, and it could be Contestia. It's not impossible. JT65 is lower in frequency usually. So I hear something on 14103 actually that's like Contestia or something. Mickey Delmage sent a report to WWV for 25 megahertz. They emailed back that many folks are hearing 25 megahertz with a recent selectivity. QSL card is in the mail. Yeah, it's been, I'm sure it's been, they've had an explosion of people monitoring 25,000 kilohertz. Jim's radio check has 20,000, very strong. What else do we have? Yeah, the Contestia sounds like that though. It's close. It's close in sounding. It's very close in sounding. You know what? I'm gonna start FLDG on the laptop here. Let's see if the laptop gets anything with FLDG. So look, that's what we're gonna do here. We're gonna do a little something here. I'm gonna put the camera on the computer, the radios and everything. So on a computer here. So let me check out. We'll take FLDG. Now FLDG. My audio here is low. Yeah, that's working. Okay. Okay, that's RTTY. So this one is RTTY. If I put the two lines here. So that's RTTY. That's definitely. So that is not impossible. You're hearing RTTY. Because that's RTTY. But there's something else on those frequencies that sounds like Contestia or something. Yeah, there must be an RTTY contest. Because if we look at screen here, as the BARTG W5AP is the station calling CQ. So it's the BARTG. It's a contest. So there's W5AP. So, okay. You might be hearing RTTY actually. Because there must be a lot of RTTY stations on. Yeah, look at that. There's another one here. BARTG. This one is K5AM calling CQ. So there's that. There's a possibility you're hearing RTTY actually. There's definitely a possibility that you're hearing RTTY right now. So it's definite. Definite because there is a contest. When there's a contest, it goes out everywhere. RTTY Dakota, like Shortwave as a good news source anyway, because I'm not so sure I truly trust our official media sources. You know, it's I think it's a mix of all of that we got to get. We got to get a little bit of everything from the local sources, and from the international sources. If we mix all of that together, we end up having, making our minds with what is probably a good idea of the reality of what's happening around us. Matt says, copy 25 megahertz WWV very well when the family and I went to Orlando a few years ago. It was also where I heard BPM for the one and only time in my life. David Barcelona, yes, Jill, I know I've missed it. Would have loved to have had a go at least someday. We'll cross signals, maybe one of these weeks on the streams, or maybe someday we can coordinate a QSO. Yeah, just we just have to organize something and decide on what frequency we could try to contact on. That'd be great. Yeah, but Jasmine, do you know that China looks at every VPN? China has to approve the VPNs. So their access to outside isn't a real access. Even the VPNs are rigged in China. What else do we have? In the movie Midnight Cowboy, John Voight carries a radio around with him. Man, I haven't seen that movie in such a long time. Probably saw that movie like in the 80s. It's an old movie. Keegan DXer here, CHU on 14670. Frank Barone, still use copper wire. I still use a rotary phone. And you're not alone. There's still a lot of people that do so. RJ Dakota, I can get 25 from time to time, but not today. But 20 is very strong. Timur Ostrowski says Highway 389 to the Trans-Labrador Highway. You get zero sol and radio reception. You want to be alone? Travel Manic 5 to Lamp City. I'm sure there's not a lot up there. Yeah, that's Jasmine. That's everybody is different on what we do with shortwave. I'm a mixed bag. I'm a mixed bag of international broadcast content and other things. But I do like to listen to the content online on shortwave. Robert Cross, European, really desperate to get rid of AM radio stations. Not right at all. Can be all radio and DAB radio. Yeah. Timothy Gunter says Arkansas has no internet at the Org General Store. Pedro, saludos. ¿Cómo está mi amigo from Mexico? And Radio Panasonic DR48. When they get rid of AM medium wave, what will that spectrum be used for? I don't know what they could use it for much, because one of the things that's the biggest problems of that range is its high noise level. So I don't know. Jim's radio check, Solar Flex 138 down considerably. Yeah, all the big sunspots are gone. So that lowers the solar flux quite fast. But it'll get up. We're in that's the way solar flux the solar activity works, ups and downs. King and DXer is hearing WR Mine 15770. Spacebar, Nepal earthquake being a casing point. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to Radio New Zealand. It is known that two things happened in Nepal: amateur radio operators helping, and the news being relayed by Radio New Zealand Pacific Service. And actually, there was a ranting from the population at, Radio Australia not being there for a source of news. I don't agree with what you're saying, Jasmine. That's a view of somebody that thinks everybody is connected. And look at the reality. The majority of people are not connected. And you might have seen a lot of people with cell phones. I would have been interested to see how many of them have one that really works. How many of them have one that they could access any content outside of what the government wants them to know and shove in their minds. It is not the case, Jasmine. There's a lot more than you think that require to have the shortwave. All the major broadcasters are sending their signals there for a very simple reason. A lot of people are listening in through the radios because they don't have anything else. And like I said, I know for a fact that China's VPNs are all rigged because China has to approve any VPN you use. Approve a VPN means it removes tons of things that it doesn't want you to listen to. There was an actual journalist that went to China and was able to ask to the general population, in secret, of course, if they knew anything about Tiananmen Square. Nobody knows that existed among the young population. And that tells you the control of news and information in China is darn good. And they're not the only country doing that. There's a lot of other countries. And that control, the only way to really, really be able to have something else and have the news go through. Then you have disasters when something hits, a typhoon or whatever, because everything goes down. And you have wars where we've seen a sudden increase in broadcasts towards Ukraine and Russia. Russia blocking as much as it can any Western media. There's all of that is playing. And I will tell you, Jasmine, you're too much thinking everybody's connected. And as the tech guy that I am and reading a lot about it, people are far less connected than you think. I can tell you that. Timothy Gunter, 17700, Voice of America French for Africa. Let's check it out if I hear it here. 17.7. Do I hear? Might be gone. What time was it? 1701. Huh, okay. Rich, why did you block TVDXer? Yeah, there's a contest. It's the BARTG is a contest. It's one of those RTTY contests. Francis Moore, thank you so much for the tip. Jim Gordon, Next Stage Data have announced and shown a photo of an interesting new entry. Yeah, the D109. I want to do a video on my YouTube channel on it. On the YouTube channel, it seems to be a D808 without SSB, and they call it an entry level. So it probably will be. It will be probably will be. Who got timed out? Rich. Oh, Rich. TVDXer. Maybe it's an accident. TVDXer, why did you block Rich? Maybe it's an accident. You know, it happens sometimes if you're on the phone or something, you might by accident block somebody. Anyways, he's blocked for 300 seconds. So we'll see. Maybe TVDXer just by accident. Probably by accident. Knowing TVDXer, I guess it just by accident it did. Like a couple of us have couple of you guys have done over time, sometimes by accident. If it's your smartphone touches and you don't even know what's happening. So yeah, the D109 looks like a D808 without SSB. Peter Carrot, good evening from London. What are your thoughts on the Yaesu FT8 last few left in the UK? You know, I'm don't have of all the when we talk about transceivers, and I'm sure there must be some of you out there that have it, maybe that can tell our friend Peter here a little more about it. But I've rarely seen any Yaesu transceivers not being really good. I think Yaesu in general is um, pretty pretty good. So yeah, so there's the definitely an RTTY contest going on for sure. What else do we have? Frank Baron, your computer decodes RTTY. Yeah, with FLDG. It'll decode tons of digital modes, including weather fax stations when they send out fax. Let's check here, 9.109. Here, we'll show you guys an example here. So 9109 upper sideband, even a little lower. We're going to 9108.5. I'm going to put the camera real close, sir, to the computer screen. So here I'm going to put FLDG in weather fax mode. Align. And here we should see something pop up. So this is weather fax transmission out of Boston. So this FLDG is cool because it decodes a lot of different modes, and it decodes. It works for Linux, Mac, and Windows, which is nice because it's a multi-platform. So you see here the map, the weather map is slowly being drawn on the screen with the transmission there. So this using the audio of your computer. VT Radio used to play in the BARTG RTTY contest. That's one thing I haven't done yet. RTTY. I need to do RTTY Baldo. That might be something also we could try. I'll set up properly with the software, and maybe we could try some in one of the live streams. We could try a digital mode like RTTY. The code is becoming quite clear. It's a very good signal here from Boston, Massachusetts Marine Station. VT Radio might get on for the CQ Worldwide 160-meter CW contest. Cool. Frank Barone, how do you get my SDR receiver to decode RTTY? So what you need to do is install the software. The biggest part of the problem will be to simply draw the audio from your SDR to the software virtually within the computer. In this case, in Windows, I have on this laptop already what's required within the settings of the audio. There's something called mix, and it's called what? It's I forgot the name. It's mix. Volume mixer. So I have that input. I've got the audio, but I've got, let's just input device here. I need to check. Anyways, I already got what it takes within Windows, but a lot of computers don't, and you'll need to use a virtual audio cable software to do the same thing, to drive the audio from the computer to the software that you're using. EA3IEK, my EC7100 has a built-in RTTY decoder and decoder, no computer required. Even though connectivity with a computer is still very, yeah, I could, because on the Yaesu, here, I do have the RTTY decoder. I have a PSK31 decoder, a RTTY decoder, and a CW decoder on the Yaesu FT8 DX10 here. Actually, we'll go on the Yaesu and try to decode I'll show you guys the screen of the Yaesu, and we'll try to decode some of the contests of the RTTY there. You set up for FT8, David? Maybe we could try a 20 meters. At this time, might make it. Are you set up now for FT8? You want to try it? We could maybe try that live here on the show. Yeah, Vianney, it's there's a contest this weekend. Thank you, Bob Raymond, for the tip. So have a nice dinner. Take care. Always nice to have you here, Bob. I'm on 9109 upper sideband, 9108.5 actually. Dwayne. Medium wave is valuable for the way it travels distance, definitely. In Florida, when there was that hurricane this summer, WFLA, I believe, was the station that was on medium wave, and they were getting tons and tons of calls of people asking for information. And because the coverage was big because of medium wave signals, it was great because a lot of people were without power and they were actually receiving that station from far away within Florida. It's not the same thing, Jasmine, because the difference is ignorance in the Americas, people not wanting to learn about it. In China, it's not ignorance, it doesn't exist anywhere. And if it does, and if you try to put it online, you'll disappear. It's a very, very different thing. You can't compare that. You cannot compare people not having the knowledge of something that happened in their own countries where you can get that information. Just look at what you did. You posted that information on a chat room, which is a public chat room that is possibly monitored by all sorts of government things here in North America. You're not going to disappear tomorrow morning, and you have the freedom to say it. That is not China. And that is a big, big difference. Hey, Mr. Squirrel, nice to have you here. So here you see the chart that's popping up. Pretty nice, pretty clear, and pretty decent. So I'm just going to take this here, lower the noise. I got to say this laptop is fancy, though. You're right about that. So let's put that here. Let's get back here. Try to get back to another screen. So like I said, Jasmine, there's a very different, these are very different things you're talking about. Not knowing about something because of knowledge versus not knowing something about it because they don't want you to know about it. And you cannot compare that. What else do we have? Hey, TVDXer, re-bienvenue. Je ne sais pas ce qui est arrivé. Je crois que c'est par accident. Mais c'est tu as bloqué Rich. Peut-être que tu as tout simplement accroché quelque chose sur ton clavier, ta souris, je ne sais pas, mais tu as bloqué quelqu'un tantôt. So probably by accident, you blocked someone, TVDXer. L16941, we'll try 20 meter FT8 AD2DU. Listen on AM stations. Okay, cool. We'll set it up. V3 IZZ. Wow, it's a VE3, but it's a reverse. It's IZZ. It's a reverse of ZZI. I actually had a contact, and that was so funny, with a guy from Vancouver that had VE7ZZY. I was like, well, it's not that far off. Keegan DXer listens to 89.7 WUWM Milwaukee and 93.3 CKUT Montreal online, fed to my Talking House AM transmitter. You do stuff like I did in past. There were so many times that I would rebroadcast stuff like that over the house. Yeah, Guitar Man, FLDIGI. If you're in Windows, don't worry about the warning. Windows might tell you this program might be dangerous. And the reason is just because it's never been kind of approved of the download, and Windows doesn't know what it is. The smart screen filter doesn't know what it is. It's fine. You just say, yeah, no problem. Just download it and accept it. It's going to be okay. Jim from Rhode Island. Yeah, it's still a huge difference, Jasmine. It's like it's just not knowing what happened in your own country. I mean, and compared to not knowing because they just don't want you to know. And you're free to as the example I just given, you were free to say that. It's not like that everywhere. MDK2, I get all my local sports coverage for free because of radio. I'm not paying for cable or some expensive streaming package. M9 ATV, nice to have you here. Spacebar, not used my radios in such a long time. Got a time to knock off the dust. BT radio just worked. Alaska and Japan, 10 meters FT8. Yeah, it's the time. It's usually at this time we get all of that. What else do we have? Francis. What do we have? Robert Cross has buffering on its internet. I don't know if anybody else has problems with that. Timothy Gunter, there would be only one FM in Oaxaca, Mexico, but a great place to receive shortwave around the world. M9 ATV, there's a new program for working FT8 on mobile devices, FT8 CN. Jet Gyrotech, just search for Simon's world map. Simon's world map. And you'll get the software for the map here. And it's very customizable. Even has the grid squares for amateur radio, all sorts of things. It's really, really nice. If you got a big screen, it makes a fantastic map to display on the big screen when you do ham radio stuff. I actually have it on my small, my mini PC here that I stream with, and I put it on my 55-inch screen sometimes when I'm doing ham radio or shortwave. I find it just cool to have that, displayed and have where it's dark around the world and so on. And like I said, very customizable. There's a lot you can do on it. I think it even shows satellites and stuff if you want. Lots of stuff there. So Simon's World Map, totally free. Okay, we were talking FT8, guys. We were talking FT8, 20 meters. So, okay, I'm going to go here. For FT8 purposes, I will be removing that roll map here. Start the software for controlling. We'll go down to 20 meters. Here we go. Dang, there's a lot of people on 20. So, Robert wants to know if anybody's internet is buffering, or is it just so I'm gonna call CQ. If anybody who's gonna be calling so we're gonna have David E3IEK. We will have Vojislav, nice to have you here from Belgrade, Serbia. Says internet is fine there. Master Players Radio and Television Plus, nice to have you here. And says internet is okay. So it's probably just Robert that has problems. Everybody seems to be fine. So, okay. So we have E3IEK and we have AD. I saw somebody giving us call 82 earlier. I messed it up. So let's see. Is there a place where I can actually position myself in there? I don't know. I need a mouse. This is 20 meters FT8, Matt. So 14074, 20 meters FT8. Let's see here. I'm positioning myself very high up. And I will be calling. So my call sign, VE2ZZI. Victor Echo 2 Zulu India. And it should pop up. I'll be calling CQ right now. On the, I'm just going to check data U. Levels are fine. Let's call CQ here. Hope it doesn't mess up anything. Really hope.